In the name of one Creator, one Redeemer, one Sanctifier. Please be seated. Don't tell anybody I just put my glasses on the piano. In the turbulent waters of the Sea of Galilee, as the others were frantic, as the others were afraid, Jesus was sleeping. Welcome to the middle of 2024. The middle of 2024. Doesn't that sound like the title of a Taylor Swift album? This is a big year. I'm halfway through my first year as a full-time priest, and guess what? I'm still here. We had a solar eclipse this year. We had a moon landing this year. And we will have a Summer Olympics this year. And it's a leap year. Oh, and that other thing. We will have a presidential election this year. Did y'all know that? In the turbulent waters of the Sea of Galilee, as the others were frantic, as the others were afraid, Jesus was sleeping. In 1973, I was about 12 years old, probably in the 6th or 7th grade, and I wrote a poem about the Watergate scandal. My teacher was so impressed with my poem that he got it published in the Courier Post, which was, and I have learned still is, the daily newspaper in Camden, New Jersey. It seemed Watergate was all we heard about. Even at 12 years old, I knew the names of all the actors in that drama, and they're still fresh in my mind today. Before Watergate, I'll bet none of us had ever heard of impeachment. Today, it seems like every president gets impeached. I guess it's like a baseball manager. If you don't get thrown out once in a while, you're not doing your job. A few years before that, in the 4th or 5th grade, I had a classmate. His name was Craig Abramson. He was the only black child in my class. And in hindsight, I imagine he must have had a relative, perhaps a father or an older brother, who was serving in Vietnam. I remember Craig because every day when he was called up in front of the class for current events, do y'all remember when we used to do that? Craig would recite the death toll of U.S. soldiers in Vietnam. My father was an uneducated man. He always struggled to maintain regular employment. He worked mostly as a delivery driver, usually for small local companies. In 1967, when I was just 6 years old, my father was offered a management position for a small toy company, which would require a move to Newark, New Jersey. This position could have significantly changed my family's economic reality. When my father returned from his visit to Newark, he told my mother, "Honey, we can't move to Newark. There are race riots going on up there, and the entire city is on fire." In the turbulent waters of the Sea of Galilee, as others were frantic, as others were afraid, remember, Jesus was sleeping. I was raised in turbulent times. Most of us here have lived through turbulent times. Jesus certainly lived in turbulent times. Our nation was founded in turbulent times. Our democracy was created in turbulent times. If we are imagining a time when things in America were not turbulent, maybe we're forgetting. Maybe we're romanticizing. Maybe we're remembering some small town USA that we grew up in, but even there, I'll tell you, I spent a few years as a teenager in Eureka, Kansas. Anybody? Okay. Eureka, Kansas had 2 saloons. They were across the street from each other on Main Street. They were, I kid you not, the Silver Dollar Saloon and the Half Dollar Saloon. One summer in the mid-1970s, there was a big movement in the city to change the mandatory closing time for any place serving alcohol from midnight till 2 a.m. This is small town America. The topic dominated the news in that little town until the mayor finally had the last word on the subject. The mayor said, "If you can't get drunk by midnight, you ain't hardly trying." Case was closed. This, folks, is a democracy. This is the government we created. We don't always get our way. I recently watched a documentary about Abraham Lincoln on Apple TV. It's called Lincoln's Dilemma. As a white parent of black children, I've done a lot of self-education the last few years on black history in the United States. Lincoln, who I learned about in elementary school as the great emancipator, this documentary begins with camera shots of the Lincoln Memorial. And then, has anybody seen this, by the way? And then it cuts to scenes from the insurrection at the Capitol building in January of 2021. I thought I was watching the wrong show. As I'm scrambling to find the remote, the narrator comes on and says, "If you think things are bad now, let's look at what was going on when Abraham Lincoln was elected president." You might remember, we were practically at war with each other inside our own country. I didn't know until this documentary that several southern states had no Republican Party, so Lincoln did not even appear on their ballots. Lincoln won the election with less than 40% of the popular vote, the lowest percentage of any president ever. The great emancipator. But abolishing slavery was not his idea. Lincoln's intention was to limit slavery to the South and not let it expand to the rest of a growing nation. His cabinet, led most strongly by Samuel P. Chase, that's the bank guy, they convinced him to go all the way. His cabinet convinced him, ultimately, to abolish slavery. This is democracy. In a wonderful book called Ways and Means, which came out a few years ago, I learned about Lincoln's position on immigration. Did you all know that immigration was an issue in the 1860s? Nor did I. Lincoln, a Republican, who I believe is revered by many Republicans today, adamantly opposed attempts to control immigration. "We need immigrants," Lincoln said, "to build the railroads." Now, folks, I'm not taking a political position here. The point of all of this, my poem about Watergate, my classmate Craig Abramson reciting the death toll in Vietnam, the race riots in Newark that stood between my family and financial security, and the closing time of the saloons in Eureka, Kansas. Slavery, immigration, all of these are like the waters in the Sea of Galilee in our gospel today. They are turbulent. In the turbulent waters of the Sea of Galilee, while others were frantic and others were afraid, Jesus was sleeping. If we know Jesus, we know peace. Whatever the outcome, if we know Jesus, we know peace. I imagine Jesus being slightly, or maybe more than slightly, upset when he's awakened from his sleep on the boat. Have you ever been awakened from a much-needed rest? I have. I got 2 kids back there. I imagine Jesus that way. So he gets up, he calms the waters and says, "Okay, can I go back to sleep now?" Jesus would have been a great chaplain. 99% of chaplaincy is about one thing, being a calm, non-anxious presence. That's kind of the whole job. This is what we become when we put our faith and our trust in Jesus. There's a reason that Karl Marx described religion as the opiate of the masses. Karl Marx thought that religion placated the poor and exploited. I say no. Religion, faith in Jesus Christ, assures us that all will be well. St. Julian of Norwich clearly agreed. St. Julian said it best when she said, "All shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well." Whoever wins the election, whatever time the bars close, whether we get the job or not, all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Jesus assures us so. Jesus assures us. Jesus lets us be the calm, non-anxious person that Jesus intends us to be. Exactly 3 years ago, I moved my family to Colorado for a position as the lead chaplain of a large Catholic hospital in Colorado Springs. My director, my new boss, was a Catholic priest. We were the same age. We had dramatically different backgrounds, and apparently we had dramatically different ideas about faith. One day, expressing his disappointment in me, he told me, "Your calm demeanor increases my anxiety." Folks, I'm not making this up. I will never forget those words. Your calm demeanor increases my anxiety. Folks, I've worried too much in my life about things that never happened. Haven't you? Once we align ourselves with Jesus, everything about our life changes. That Catholic priest, I look at it now as he paid me one heck of a compliment. And he convinced me that I was not a good fit at his hospital. So guess what? I'm here now. My life is better than ever. All will be well. Jesus will ensure that we will be ready when we are called. Jesus will ensure that our hearts will grow enough to accept the losses in our lives that will surely occur. Jesus will ensure that we have the strength to meet every challenge in our lives. And all Jesus ever asks us is our complete faith in him. In the turbulent waters of the Sea of Galilee, as others were frantic, as others were afraid, Jesus was sleeping. Jesus was a non-anxious presence. Jesus knew in the face of the greatest adversity that all shall be well. Please know this for yourself. Know Jesus and all shall be well. If you're hearing me today and you are not having this kind of an experience with your faith in Jesus, please contact me and let's talk about it. Thank you.